We have done a wrap pinafore, never again. Just kidding, of course I'm gonna make another wrap pinafore, but not today. Y'all, I was gonna start this video in my studio, and then I filled my coffee cup so full, it just seemed like too far to walk with it. And that is the behind the scenes reason of why we're starting in the dining room. So I made this wrap pinafore a few weeks ago. You remember, you were there. If you weren't, all good. You don't need to watch the prequel to understand today's video. There were a few things that ultimately were not right about this that I would want to tweak, but there are also a few things that, you know, rather than tweaking the wrap pinafore, I'd rather just change entirely. In other words, we're gonna make a split side dress. Yeah. I mean, I have a long list of variations on the whole split side skirt theme. Honestly, I thought I would be getting to like split side pants before I bothered getting to a dress. But no, actually in the end, I realized that I have more ideas for how to make a dress work than how to make pants work. So we're going with the dress. Because when I made this wrap pinafore, I was like, oh, this is pretty much the same, right? Except for some key factors. So one of the things that I did not love about my design here was that there wasn't enough overlap of the skirts. If I moved around, if I spin around, these would still fly open and show upper thigh. Gasp. And then the other thing that I wanted to fix in a later design was the overlap right here. I wanted it to be higher just so that a bra wouldn't show. Although I did go with, you know, a hot pink sports bra to make it look like it's a style choice. So the joy of the split side skirt, split side pinafore, split side dress, the split only happens from about mid-thigh up so you can get it on. But at the bottom, you still have a fully connected hem. So you just don't have to worry about overlapping more or something flying open, and it's kind of a fabric saver. I did 1.5 circles to make this skirt. In the end, I was like, the way I would fix this is make the bottom layer go all the way around to the back. So now we're talking 2 full circle skirts that I'm stacking on top of each other. That's fun. That's extra swoosh. It's like kind of having like a petticoat layer, I guess. But that's also a lot of extra fabric that I'm having to put into my design. Whereas a split side skirt, I can make a full circle skirt, connected on the sides, it's just 1 circle. It doesn't have to have that double layer, and therefore, fabric saving. Yeah? Okay. So far, all of my split side skirts and pinafores have wrapped on with the back piece tying on first, and then the front piece tying in the back with a little sash and a bow and all that cuteness. The wrap pinafore, on the other hand, I made in the style of the walkaway dress, which is the front panel ties on first in the back, then the back panel ties on in the front with this cute little bow. So those are kind of the big differences. The skirt is going to be fully connected, and the back panel is going to tie on first, front panel ties on second. I have to think about that so hard every time. This is Matt's elegant solution to not getting enough Wi-Fi in his studio. This lovely drapey cable goes all the way through the kitchen. I obviously love that. We need to get an electrician in here hardcore. Okay, what were we doing? Where were we? What were we get it, right? We get it. Split side dress. Different than a wrap pinafore, but just barely. So I've been thinking through this design, how it's gonna work, all of that, for, you know, probably like 6 months now. And I have hit upon what I think is a working solution. So the easiest way to make these kind of dresses is to think of them as the 2 different halves, the back half and the front half. Let's assume we've got a half circle skirt here because that's pretty safe to assume. And on my split side stuff, the pockets are attached to the back half. Basically from there, we have the back bodice. Because of how I'm gonna do the front bodice, I don't actually need a slope on the side, I don't think, but I am still gonna put it there because I just think this looks too pinafore-y. So it'll just be sort of a gentle slope like that. I think I actually might go really simple here with sort of the traditional, just tie it in a little knot. So that's your back half. Now on the front half, again, we got a half circle skirt. Now the front bodice is basically gonna be straight on the sides, but it's going to have a big sash that comes out of it. This sash will wrap around to the back, and it can either tie there, or I'm hoping it can actually wrap back around to the front and tie like under the bust right here. Ow. Sorry, chair. Neckline, we will kind of figure out as we go. I don't know. I'm not really sure what I want yet. I do know that I'm going to be using a woven fabric. So unlike this one, which is knit, where I just kind of cut out the shape that I wanted and let it form to my boobs however it wanted, I will need to do some form of shaping here. And y'all, I've got some sort of personal thing against darts. I don't know why, I don't know where that came from, but I don't want to do darts. So I'm looking at another option that I've done before on a pattern. I think it looks cute, it works well, which is underbust gathering, where you cut something that is bigger, you just do a little bit of right here, and so it forms little, you know, cup shapes. I've never done one of those by myself, like without following a pattern, so obviously it'll go perfectly the first time. But let's talk fabric, because this is fun. This fabric was gifted to me by Lori of Piece 9 Art. There's a link to her Spoonflower store in the description below, and she also gave me a little QR code, so I'll stick that on the screen. Probably here. Here, this seems like it makes sense. She's an incredible artist. She has so many gorgeous designs. It was such a joy to look through her entire artwork. Thank you so much, Lori, for the beautiful fabric. It's gonna look awesome. Also, because I got it from Spoonflower, I actually know what it is. What? I know, that's so rare. This is a cotton lawn, which I basically selected because I was like, I don't think I've ever used that before, so let's give it a go. I do really like how it's this very like thin, sort of light, breezy fabric. But because the print that I chose is darker, it doesn't really feel see-through at all. I've got 5 yards of this, so that should be plenty to make myself the circle skirt that I so always desire. Isn't that design so beautiful? I love that you can see all of the textures of the paint strokes in it. Gorgeous. God, thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. I am so excited to use this. So we're starting with the bodice. Should I make actual paper patterns? Nah, that just seems like too much of a faff at the moment. I'm gonna split my design into all the different pieces. I'm gonna measure myself. I'm gonna assign measurements to those pieces, and then I'm gonna transfer those onto the fabric, and we will go from there. But first, so I'll put my hair up, because otherwise I won't get anything done. When I do the loopy through instead of a normal ponytail, that is when I really mean business. It's happening. Time for the slow and boring part. God, I hate edges. I'd kind of like to do the little like short circle skirt with a ruffle on the bottom. But if I attach the bodice, I mean, that's fine in theory. Gross. It's about 9, 3, 7. We do still want a slight armpit. Yeah, I kind of do want a V-neck on this. Okay, I think that is everything except for the boob gathers. Here's how my brain is saying to figure this out. Right now my measurements are 38 on the bust line, 34 below. I probably am adding an extra inch there because I have several bulky layers on, but oh well. So if I divide my under boob in half, we have 17. Then if I subtract 17 from 38, we have 21. So logically, in my head, you would want to cut out your bodice at 21 inches all the way down, but then you would want to gather under the bust line 2 inches on both sides so that it gathers to 17 inches underneath. Yeah? 20 minutes later, I think I have all of my pieces, all of my measurements, so now I just transfer that over here and we cut things out. Sometimes daddy leaves and you just have to deal with that. Am I having a dance party to avoid cutting this out? Yes! Ooh, that cuts delightfully. I don't know if this is gonna work. It's fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. That should be my theme song. Is this one of those fabrics that you can tear? It is! Oh, that's satisfying. All right, y'all, somehow all of that has led to this. Oh, and I did want to note for those of you who are concerned, you know who you are. You'll be so happy to hear that I pre-washed, dried, and ironed this fabric before I started the video. What? I know, right? Who am I? Let me run through real fast what I did. First, easy peasy, I have 2 half circles over here, one for the front, one for the back. So it's not a very long skirt. Because of that, I took all of my leftover fabric in the end, which was a little more than a yard, and I cut it into strips, and I'm gonna add a ruffle to the bottom of the skirt. Over here, I of course have the 4 pieces of pocket, same as I always do, but did anyone say purse pockets? It was me, I said it. So I cut out a little bit of extra to do an inner pocket in the pocket because yeah, why not? I also have my front and back bodice. I did decide to line those in the end, not because I feel like it needs a second layer of fabric, but because for me, it's often just the easiest way to get a clean seam finish rather than having to add binding to it. So my front is V-necked, I cut it out wider and I'm going to be gathering it down, and then I have this little piece which is the front band here. I have 2 little pieces to be the strings that will tie on the back panel. And then I have these giant triangles. I only cut out 2 of them, so I'm not gonna be making the sashes, these big sashes, double layered like I normally would. For some reason in my head, I was like, that's unnecessary, and I just went with this. And like, yeah, I think it'll be fine. I think thinner is better for some reason. I don't know. This is wider than it needs to be by not quite 2, because I just used whatever I had, but that'll allow me to gather these a little bit right here, which will just give the sash a bit more fullness and fluff, I think, in my head. Yeah? Oh, and then the last thing, this weird little shape might be a sleeve. I'm just kind of determined to turn random leftover scraps into sleeves, even though they are not at all sleeve shapes. If it doesn't work, I just won't sew it on. And that is the end of the cutting out stage. Ooh, there's a butterfly. Let's go sew. Y'all, I cleaned up my studio. Yay! I don't think the actual like designing of it is gonna happen for a little bit, especially because the electrician has to come first. But I got all of the boxes unpacked and everything is stashed in a way I can handle, at least for a few weeks, maybe months. Better than nothing. Okay, so here comes the super fun part. Why am I framed so weird? Okay, so here comes the super fun part. Trying to figure out what to sew first. You know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sew together these weird sleeve things first and see if that even works. That'll get the juices flowing and it'll all work from there, theoretically. Always theoretically. I am also going to be such a good little sewist and plug in my iron right now so that when it comes time to iron seams, I can't be like, oh, but then I'd have to heat up the iron. It's on. Okay, but like, sleeve, but only if you don't raise your arm. Hey, it was worth a try. Okay, I no longer know what my brain is doing. Let's move on to the actual dress. Yeah? No sleeves. Y'all, am I about to turn these into pockets? Stand by. Y'all, I've been very into this playlist of like classic love songs lately. It's all like older people singing covers of you know, the original songs from the 50s and stuff, like Irving Berlin, all of those goodies and everything. But I was just thinking, do you think 50 years from now, a bunch of older artists will be singing classic covers like Poker Face and Single Ladies and Bitch Better Have My Money? I'm just picturing like a Tony Bennett kind of figure, but singing like the popular songs of right now. Hilarious. I moved on to the OG pockets, starting with the pockets inside the pocket. So many pockets, huzzah! But I wasn't loving the way my machine was stitching on this fabric. I tried changing the tension and the needle size, but the smallest needle that I have on hand is 8014, and I think it needs lower than that. Oh, that's not good. I was planning to just not care, as I so often do, because I really didn't want to make a Joann run for one needle, but then I realized I was super hungry, which means I can use a trip to Joann as an excuse to get lunch, and getting lunch as an excuse to visit Joann, making circular reasoning work for me since 1995. I'm assuming I didn't learn that trick until I was 3. Oh, y'all, it is hot outside. I am not really one of the, hello. I am not one of the lovers of fall that most people of my demographic appear to be. Every time people are like, oh my god, yay, it's fall is coming. I'm just like, my light is slipping away. But then, you know, the cooler weather, I am looking forward to it. If we could have summer light with like, well, around here with like late fall weather, that'd be grand. But we got a screen for this door in here, and the puppy is already delighting in dashing in and out of it whenever we open it. So it'll be nice when the weather is cool and I can leave that open and he can just come in and out all day long. Anyway, I didn't go for bobbins, but I have been kind of running low on bobbins, so I went ahead and got more because of course there was a sale. But here's what matters. Smaller needles, or more delicate needles, whatever you're supposed to call them. I got 70, 10, and 68, so let's give those a try. That sounds better already. Are you really changing your needle if you're not making a ridiculous face? Interestingly enough, I feel like the 70, 10 was better. Yeah, I'll take that. Let's move on. It's been a hot second since I made a split side skirt. I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go. Okay. Once I got all the pockets attached to the skirt halves, I went ahead and sewed them up the sides, so I have this Bitto skirt all done. I'll add the ruffle later because for now, I just want to move on to that bodice. Although I don't want to that much, so I started with the little things that need some stitches but aren't actually like construction yet, turning those ties into tubes. Yo, I was doing the string trick for turning it right side out, and then I wasn't paying attention and I cut off my strings. Whoops! It was too small for the one straw that I have, so instead I did a chopstick without a straw trick, and it actually worked decently. Okay, that worked. Ooh, satisfying. After that, I got that hemming done on those big sashes. Always a blast. For the back bodice, I lined up the two pieces and sewed around the neckline and the armhole edge things, making sure to insert the ties on the two ends before turning everything right side out and pressing it. On the front bodice, I marked about 5 inches evenly on each side of the lower bust, and then sewed the two gathering lines in those little areas so that I could cinch them in. I lined up the edges and the center of the top piece with the band that goes underneath, and then gathered those two little sections down until it fit perfectly before sewing it down. Then the outer layer and the lining of the front bodice got sewn together the exact same way as the back one, and... Alright, y'all. So I've got the front bodice. I think the gathering thing worked. And then I have the back bodice complete with the ties. I didn't put the sashes on this one yet because I can do that afterward, and I thought it would be easier to do this next step without those giant sashes attached. So normally when I'm doing a bodice like this, I sew the shoulders together first and then I do the burrito method at the end to get like these seams right here clean. This time I thought I'd try a different method where you sew each one and then you like shove it inside the other one so you can sew the shoulder seams together. I don't know, I just saw it the other day on a reel and I was like, oh, I could do that next time. So we're gonna try it. This actually kind of seems a lot easier. Maybe I will do this from now on. Okay. Yeah, that kind of was a lot easier than the burrito method. Let's see if it looks as good. Yeah, works for me, y'all. I wonder if it fits. I'm lightly concerned, but I'm always lightly concerned. So I'm gonna get the sashes added on. Y'all, it looks good. Once the bodice was done, I tried it on and was pleasantly surprised to see that my armhole measurements, which were completely and totally wrong, perfectly covered the bra area. Huzzah! On the other hand, I'm once again concerned about how short the back bodice is, despite having measured it twice to make sure I got it right this time. I sewed each side of the bodice onto the corresponding side of the skirt and was reminded why I don't normally attach the sides of the skirt until the very end. It's a lot of bulk flying around and getting confusing when it could have just been all nice and flat. Oh well, we learn and live. I hear trotty paws. Hi, my love. I was just finishing up the top stitching when Matt got home and it was dinner time, and that was the end of that. But I'll come back tomorrow to add that ruffle. Sometimes that just happens. Honestly, I was expecting it to be a lot worse than it is. Good morning. Okay, y'all, so I tried this on last night. First of all, yay, because it worked. But also, it's so cute at the length that it currently is, like the shorter length without the ruffle. And I stood there for the longest time debating because I was like, I already cut it out. Well, you know, cut it out. It's long strips of rectangle fabric. Finally went and got some validation from Matt and he was like, yeah, it's really cute how it is. So I think I'm just gonna leave it how it is. But I am just gonna throw the tiniest hem possible on this dress and then we're gonna be done. Insanity! Yo, this was a huge success. That's always nice, isn't it? I don't often wear skirts that are shorter like this, or make them, but I do think it's really nice, especially in this lighter fabric, because it's very breezy and very summery, and yeah, it's a fun change. Constructive criticism time, there's actually not much this time, because y'all, this pretty much worked. The armpit thing, great. It covers a bra completely. Perfect. I like the two options for tying it because when I tie it in the back, it's generally a little bit looser and more flowy. And then when I bring it back around to the front, I can really like cinch it in tight if I want that feel. I think that these shoulders could have been slightly smaller, but it's fine. It's not uncomfortable and it's not cutting in anywhere or anything. The gathered bust, y'all, if you are trying to make a fitted bust and you really don't want to try to figure out darts, it's not hard. I really like it. In fact, I really kind of want to go make another one right now. What a pity that I didn't make a pattern. Oh well. And y'all, I know that I said I would make another wrap pinafore at some point. I think I literally said it in this video. I don't think I'm gonna. In the end, I'd rather just make more of these. The skirt being fully attached on the bottom, it's just better for me. I just feel much more like I am wearing a dress in this than I do in the wrap pinafore. I don't know, this worked really well. It's so adjustable. The entire thing is just tied on me. Oh, I remember what the other thing is that I need to fix. I knew there was something else. Bodice, definitely, I would prefer it to be like an inch longer, especially in the back. In fact, the front might be fine, but I think I need another inch on the back because it is pulling my shoulder seams. Like these should be here and they're here. Logging that away for the future. Add another inch on the back bodice. Also, y'all, sewing on the cotton lawn was really interesting. This fabric does not like pins. It was very hard to get a pin through it, but it holds creases really well. Like you can finger press it and it will stay. It's a little bit of like a crisp, papery feeling, but in a nice, drapey, flowy way. And I absolutely love the print. It feels like wearing art. It is wearing art. So big thank you again to Lori from Piece 9 Art for sending me this fabric. It was such a joy to work with. It's so beautiful. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Lori. And I'll wrap it up with a random story. Y'all, I told somebody I'm a YouTuber for the first time, like somebody other than you. It was our server in a restaurant. She asked both Matt and I, what do we do? And Matt said, I work in the music industry, which is usually what he says. And for the first time ever, I said the words, I am a YouTuber to a stranger. It felt weirdly natural. And also Matt is usually the one who gets like the ooh response because people assume that he means he's a musician. But this time I got the ooh response. She was all like, ooh, that's super cool. Doing what? What kind of stuff? We had a little chat about it. So fun. Anyway, yeah, that's my random wrap-up story. Thank you all for watching. If there is a ton of interest in the split side dress, the way there was in the pinafore and the skirt, and you guys would like me to do a more tutorial-ish video, breaking it down even more than I just did, let me know. I have a track record of taking a very long time to get to things like that, but I will at least put it on the list. Later, taters. Doopy-doopy-doo. Why is it so much bigger than the back? Oh well, don't question it. Ooh, that's creepy.
Nope. 8 3/4. Gasp. Ah.
Do we not thrive on chaos?